I want to reduce spending. I support it, but not just yet, because I've got this project. Well, and I've listened to that. And I've especially listened to it for the past 100 days. Go get them, President Trump. Reduce that spending. We're behind you 1,000%. Well, he has. He has. 0.1% he's asking us to reduce. And I'm not saying senators shouldn't ask questions and make some changes if they need to be made, but here's the bottom line. It is gut check time. It is gut check time. You either believe in reducing spending or you don't. And if you talk the game and say, let's reduce spending, and you vote against this bill, in my opinion, you ought to hide your head in a bag. Because you will be able to cut the hypocrisy with a knife.
As an old saying goes, when those in power lose control of the money, they lose control of the people. Before we dive in, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe to Uncensored Headlines. Grab your drink, coffee, bourbon, sweet tea, water, or even champagne if you're feeling fancy, because what I'm about to break down is wild. Stay tuned until the end, because Senator John Kennedy just laid bare how Chuck Schumer, AOC, Adam Schiff, and the rest of the Democratic leadership have been recklessly burning through your tax dollars while claiming to fight for the average American. I just watched Kennedy deliver one of the most jaw-dropping, no-holds-barred critiques of government spending you'll ever hear. And he didn't stop there, he tied it directly to the president's new rescission bill. This wasn't just a speech, it was a full-blown demolition of the Democrats' so-called fiscal responsibility narrative, something you definitely won't catch on CNN, MSNBC, or from any of the fact-checkers.
President Trump's going to send us over what's called a rescission bill. What does that mean? Well, we've got a $7 trillion budget. Okay? I don't know how much of that $7 trillion is waste, but every fair-minded person would have to agree that there's some money being spent in that $7 trillion that shouldn't be spent. Just shouldn't. It's wasted money. And so President Trump and this Congress made one of its objectives trying to reduce spending. Not spending that we need to reduce, but spending that needs to be reduced. I call it spending porn. And the president has sent us a bill. He's saying to Congress, I want you to reduce spending in the current budget by $9.1 billion. And let me tell you what the spending, what constitutes the spending I want to reduce. Well, first, $9.1 billion out of a $7 trillion budget. We're not talking about a lot of money here. We're talking about 0.1%. That's all. That's point one. Point two, you need to look at what the president's asking us to cut out. I'll just give you a couple of examples. I didn't make this up. The president is saying we're giving $3 million to Iraq to produce Sesame Street. Maybe we could use that money for something else. The president is saying we're giving $3 million to Zambia for circumcisions and vasectomies. The president's saying we don't need to do that. We've got other priorities. We're giving $500,000 to Rwanda to buy electric buses. The president is saying to us, Congress, we don't need to be spending the money on that. There are more important things. We're spending $67,000 to give insect powder to kids in Madagascar. I don't even know what insect powder is, but the president's asking us to cut it out. We're giving $3,600,000 to Haiti for pastry cooking classes, for cyber cafes, for dance focus groups, for male prostitutes. The president's saying, I don't think so. I don't think that the American people support giving their hard-earned money to male prostitutes in Haiti. So he's asking us to cut it out. He's asking us to reduce the budget by $833,000 because some of President Biden's bureaucrats gave a contract to transgender people, sex workers, and their clients in Nepal. The president's saying, I don't want to do that. And he's right. That's enough. You get the idea. That's why I call it spending porn. Triggers your gag reflex. You look at this stuff and you go, what in God's name? Who decided to do this? Well, Congress didn't. The bureaucrats did. It's money we appropriated, but we didn't tell them to go spend money, $833,000, and give it to sex workers in Nepal. They just took the money we appropriated and used it for that. And so the president is asking us to do what's called a rescission, to cancel the spending. Now, I have listened, I've been here 8 years, Mr. President, and I've listened to a whole bunch of people talk about the need to reduce spending. But you got to watch what people do, not what they say. Because talk is cheap. And around here, I've learned pretty quickly that reducing spending, it's like going to heaven. I want to go to heaven. I bet you want to go to heaven, Mr. President. I bet our guests in the gallery want to go to heaven. But everybody wants to go to heaven. Raise your hand if you're ready to take the trip today. Most people, you are, sir, and I admire that, but most people want to live a little longer. And that's the way it is with reducing spending around here. I want to reduce spending. I support it, but not just yet, because I've got this project. Well, and I've listened to that. And I've especially listened to it for the past 100 days. Go get them, President Trump. Reduce that spending. We're behind you 1,000%. Well, he has. He has. 0.1% he's asking us to reduce. And I'm not saying senators shouldn't ask questions and make some changes if they need to be made, but here's the bottom line. It is gut check time. It is gut check time. You either believe in reducing spending or you don't. And if you talk the game and say, let's reduce spending, and you vote against this bill, in my opinion, you ought to hide your head in a bag. Because you will be able to cut the hypocrisy with a knife. It's real, real hard, Mr. President, to preach temperance from a bar stool. It's gut check time.
Senator Kennedy kicks things off by breaking down President Trump's new rescission package, a request to trim $9.1 billion in waste out of a $7 trillion federal budget. That's just 0.1%. Not Social Security, not Medicare, not programs Americans rely on, just pure, embarrassing bureaucratic fluff. Then Kennedy goes line by line through what Biden's administration has been spending your money on, and it's jaw-dropping. $3 million to Iraq for Sesame Street production. $3 million to Zambia for circumcisions and vasectomies. $500,000 to Rwanda for electric buses. Almost $70,000 in Madagascar for something called insect powder, and Kennedy admits he doesn't even know what that is. Then comes the real shocker. $3.66 million in Haiti for pastry classes, cyber cafes, dance workshops, and, yes, male prostitutes. You read that right, American tax dollars funding male prostitutes. And it keeps going. Over $800,000 to a Biden-era project in Nepal targeting transgender individuals, sex workers, and their clients. No congressional approval, no public debate, no vote. Just bureaucrats quietly funneling money into projects no one ever okayed. Kennedy calls it spending porn. And honestly, he's not wrong. It's disgusting, insulting, and infuriating. Then he calls out the hypocrisy by name. Schumer, AOC, Schiff, all of them love to lecture Americans about protecting families, democracy, and taxpayers. But when it comes to actually cutting a single dime of waste, suddenly it's, let's study it first, and, we need more information. Kennedy sums it up perfectly. Cutting waste is like going to heaven. Everyone says they want to go, but nobody wants to make the trip. For months, Democrats have screamed that Trump needed to rein in spending. Now that a tiny slice of unnecessary waste has been identified, they run for cover. Kennedy's point is sharp and simple. If you talk about fiscal responsibility but refuse to cut even the dumbest, most pointless spending, your hypocrisy is staggering. He lays down the challenge bluntly. Either you stand with American taxpayers, or you stand with bureaucrats funneling millions overseas into absurd projects. Words don't cut it, votes do. This wasn't just a speech. It was a warning shot fired at a political class that has long treated taxpayer money as a slush fund for pet projects and activist agendas. For once, someone spoke what millions of Americans are thinking. Enough is enough, and make no mistake, this fight is just getting started.